example. You present it in a way that's interesting and eye-catching, and young people want to hop on that. As opposed to just say, okay, we're building schools and we're buying laptops and all these other things that we're seeing. But even with all these things that have happened, if you really look at it, you don't really see the impact. So we need to just have a change in government. Also, just access to leadership. You don't really have forums where, state leader or local government chairman is actively trying to engage with the people. Government isn't attractive, especially to young people. A lot of us just think it's very boring and whatever they want to do is what they will do.
Absolutely.
And it's not for me. And that's what really, really needs to change, especially if we're talking about where Nigeria is going in the future. We have to start now.
Too little.
Okay, I mean, you said quite a whole lot, and they all sound really pretty. I mean, but I also think that you're speaking about this. What I hear you say is a lot of is more geared towards empowerment. However, the position that you're going for is more about policies.
Of course.
You understand?
Of course.
So it's not the empowerment is, I mean, every day people come, even private sector, people are always doing things. That's the truth. But is this sustainable? I would feel that where we should get to is where there are laws, there are policies that make these things binding. It's not so much as...
so whether you are there
exactly or not, it becomes the standard.
It becomes law.
It becomes the law. So it's not about handout. You're not waiting for some private-public partnership or... It is a standard. So you know that, okay, if you come into this constituency, this is how it goes.
Of course.
And then, of course, again, there is government in continuum. So another person who comes, because it is not sentimental, it is not there's a word, it's not sensational. It becomes easy, to be sustainable. And everybody would now agree to say, oh, no, you can't do anything outside of this. This is the standard. Anything else you do. So I'm hoping that today, being here, you're able to say that, okay, when you get into that position as a policy maker, I mean, this is what drives you concerning education, concerning health, concerning MSMEs, concerning general living.
Well, if I had actually noted that I was going to ask that, if you had prepared, policies that you, what's it called? You have policies that you intend to propose in the House, that would help with all the things that Diola has listed in Surulere constituency. I mean, if you don't mind to share those with us.
Okay, of course. I fully do understand at the end of the day it is a legislative position, but just because, again, I'm not sure how long some of these policies will take in terms of implementation, because, again, it also depends on, the numbers in the House, majority, minority, and all of that. So in the more immediate, there are things that, we can do as constituency projects to at least kickstart the change that we want. And because I am fully youth-centered as well, I feel like there's some things that we need to start doing immediately, especially if we're trying to catch them young. But also in terms of policies, I'm very particular about education. I'm a direct recipient of a good education. And I even spent time just going around, on this campaign train, just really trying to understand what the people actually want and need, as opposed to preferring solutions that I think are the way forward. For example, when we're talking about small businesses, I went to a couple of marketplaces and I had certain conversations with some of the market women, and they really did speak on, when you mentioned the double taxation, that they are paying a lot of taxes and levies, and they don't really see where these monies are going, and even to the point where some tribes feel like they are even being extorted basically, just because their counterparts from other parts of the country don't really have to pay certain amounts and things like that. So there definitely will be a focus on education, on small businesses. We also need to make the amenities work. I remember there was a time where the street lights were up and running. You know, I would be driving home and I would be happy. I'm getting Sule. And now, you get to Sule and it's dark.
Sorry, what part of Sule do you live? If you
I don't know if I can say that right now.
Okay, let's take a very short break. I'd like to open our phone lines. Right, I'd like to open our phone lines, then I will come to you and then stay with us. You want them to go and look for us. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we are discussing the race to the House of Assembly, and we have with us Olumide Oworu. Please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag WaysShow. Now, our phone line is now open. It's already ringing. Number to call is 0. Please don't insult our guest, you. I beg you. 07025007749. That's the number to call. Be very civil with your contribution, and let's have a great conversation. Please turn off the volume of your whatever you're watching us, the device, so we don't have a feedback. NJ, quickly.
Well, I have several questions.
Please make it short.
But I'm going to just make it short, and maybe while you're answering, you just summarize. Right. One thing I want to know: why you moved. Why you got into politics? Mm-hmm. You were an actor. Mm-hmm. You are an actor. Mm-hmm. So what encouraged you to go into politics? Aside, because on a daily, we all have different things that we do, and we see the country, we leave the situations, but not all of us even members of the party.
Okay, so hold that question. Our first caller from Gombe, Obinna, you're live. Hello.
Okay.
Good evening.
I'm with you.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, go ahead, you're live.
My greetings to all of you in the studio.
Hi.
Good evening.
Especially to the obedient in the house.
Good evening.
Thank you so much. I'm lucky to be the first person to call you this evening. My question is to the guests, please. The slogan of Labour Party is "Take back your country and a new Nigeria." And I've carefully listened to you about what and some certain things you want to do for your constituency. But I want to ask you, please, because if you do not know where things go wrong, you will not know where to correct it. Have you sit down and get some loopholes, areas where Lagos State is getting it wrong, especially in the education system of Lagos State? Now, coming down to your constituency, my question is, does Lagos State government have any social intervention on students of Lagos State? And how are you going to fully involve your constituency in that program? Number two, I'm always going to ask you, please, before you go there, do you have any plan or do you have already bills in your mind that can address drainage system or failures in Lagos State as it is today? These are my questions.
Thank you.
And I know you completely do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So
Right.
you have bills, have you identified the problem, and where do you think Lagos State is getting it wrong?
At the end of the day, that is the reason why there is the House of Assembly. And that is why we're all representing different constituencies. The entire point is for people who know these constituencies and have experience with these constituencies to come together, table what the issues are, and figure out the best way to solve these issues. I also know that different areas will require some different type of techniques in some situations, depending on what it is that we're trying to achieve. So it is very important that as House members, we all work together for those who are opportune and mandated by the people to represent them at that level. With that being said, something on waste management. That is one of the issues that, is faced in Lagos generally, which you can relate to drains being blocked and, people sand filling certain areas where should be the natural path for water to flow through. Yeah. So what we need to do is find a way to have, and this is one of the things that GRV has on his agenda as well, is have wetland protection. So there's certain areas where you cannot be constructing to interfere with the flow of water. Another thing we need to do is incorporate the private sector into waste disposal, because there's certain areas.
I'm looking for trouble.
But I'm not for my I'm going to try.
Loma, you're live.
Yeah, good evening, my sisters in the house.
Hi, Loma, good evening.
Good evening. As I'm watching this fine gentleman in the house, I know he will do well.
Okay.
But I want to ask you one question. Now, you see the type of policy the executive are bringing out. What policies that the masses are now being victimized? The masses are in pain. Now, what will you do as a legislator? Because here, if I am talking in other sister stations, I tell them that what is happening now is the spirit of Antichrist, end-time spirit, where leaders allow the spirit of Antichrist to enter them. They bring in policies that affect the masses. They themselves just feel it. As a legislator, what will you do when the executive go reckless? How will you
call
the executive recklessness when they bring policies that will affect masses? Look at what is happening in the vaccine sector. I tell people this is exactly what I call antichrist spirit that has entered from leaders that make them to bring out policies that affect the masses, and they are not feeling it, the pains of the masses. What will you do?
So everybody's asking you because I mean, it's nice to have freshness, like I said, on the ballot. But again, I don't want us to be seen that because we want to support our own with our young people, we're supporting mediocrity, or we're supporting people that are not prepared for the job, right? You have what do you call them? There's a historical candidate that first of all, he was in your industry, that is now that everybody is not particularly happy because I think they feel like he wasn't prepared for that job. He didn't know the job. It's different from going on camera and live camera action. No, these are real life issues. These are like you're bringing up laws that would protect us, especially your constituency in Surulere, right? So I mean, we would like to hear, because I mean, if you say you're running, you're going to the House of Assembly, you should have said, okay, I have proposed like 15 bills. Inside those 15 bills, I can just tell you maybe 2 or 3. Say, okay, these are the ones that I know that are pressing in Surulere constituency. Those are the kind of level of preparedness that we are looking forward to having, right? So I mean, when you hear the callers asking, it's almost like they're repeating the same question. What exactly are your policies that you have penned down to say these are the policies I intend to propose when or if elected in the House?
For me, one of the things as well is also the execution of policies that are already in place, which is why, for me, it is the transparency and the style of government that we need to first address. If you are more on ground in your constituency and your constituents have access to you, then there's more conversation, there's more dialogue, and you, at that point, are more in touch with what they need. So that also does help in formulating policies, gearing up into the House. Also, there have been certain policies that should have brought about some sort of change. But the problem is how these policies are then executed and the fact that nobody is being held accountable in terms of delivery. So you say, for example, okay, we're going to pass this bill, and this bill, it took us, say, 6 months to pass, but expected period of execution is 8 months. And after a year and a half, you know, whatever projects that were supposed to be put in place, or whatever partnerships were supposed to be built, or roads supposed to be constructed, and contracts are supposed to be giving out, either have been given out and haven't been supervised or monitored, or we just don't hear about these things anymore. So it's not necessarily about formulating a whole new set of laws.
They are existing.
They are existing.
Well, that's a major problem in
Yes.
there are existing policies
Yes.
that have not been properly implemented.
Yes.
The ones that have not been properly,
Yes.
there are some that have not been implemented at
Yes.
all. Then the ones that have been implemented, right? Or
Under-implemented.
yes, they've been under implemented. So I get you. I mean, it's a valid point.
Yeah.
So I mean, it will be. It's nice to hear the sincerity.
Yeah.
Because again, sometimes people feel like, oh, if I come and I bring 7-fold
are-
agenda,
yeah,
20-fold
yeah,
agenda,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
to take me seriously.
Yeah.
But what you said is actually deep. Because
yeah.
truly, we do have some very nice policies on paper. Where are the signs that these policies have been translated into reality? Yeah, NJ, you wanted to go?
Oh yeah. Well, I was initially just asking about your background, just
Right.
going a bit back, and asking why you decided to transition into, you know, politics. And what I guess one of my questions was your immediate plan for, you know, the constituency one.
Yeah.
Two-layer one.
Yeah.
indigenous.
That's a
Yeah.
I'm not. Truly, one is.
Stadium Baja, Ojolegba, Yaba.
And that's a major.
That's
That's a
no.
major area.
That's not my constituency.
Right.
Why the transition?
So the transition, again, came from realizing the opportunity that has presented itself. If we're being honest, before now, regardless of the number of registered parties, Nigeria has been practicing a two-party system.
True.
And none of the parties have really
appealed
to me personally, because we are in the situation where we are in, where we have tried out both parties with their manifestos and with their ideologies, and we still spiraled to this point. So I personally did not believe in what any of these two parties stand for. But then with Peter Obi switching to the Labour Party, he's somebody who, just from a natural standpoint, is very relatable. And there is a sincerity in his tone when he speaks. He doesn't try to present any grand ideas or sell, this is my opinion anyway, sell any major dreams of, oh yeah, elect me, and you know, in 2 years' time, everything is going to be sorted, there'll be flying cars and whatnot. Basically, what he said that appealed to me the most is, there's a problem, we cannot fix this problem overnight, but we need to get on the path towards the problem being fixed. And that is what appealed to me the most. And that really is the entire reason why I did join the Labour Party. And upon joining the Labour Party, there was an environment conducive enough to encourage participation to run. So I'm like, okay, this is a good opportunity. Let's see how this goes. And the fact that the party even trusted somebody like me with my background to even be given the ticket to represent the party at this level is an amazing honor that I feel very blessed to have, and also very optimistic that the youth can do something towards national development. Because you look back at Nigerian history, and the people that were making decisions that have affected the entire country were close to my age, late 20s, early to mid 30s.
So that's why we're afraid of you now. That's why we're afraid.
It's again, you know, we're human, and you know, it's okay to make mistakes as long as you don't make the same mistakes multiple times, and you do own up when you make these mistakes. There have been a lot of mistakes in the Nigerian political scene that people have not owned up to or apologized for and attempted to learn and move on. I think that is the problem. So it's just changing what it means to be a politician, really. Demystifying all the bravado around the office and all of that. Just, houseboy.
So do you think that you have done your part in being visible enough to the people in your constituency that you know they recognize you and will be willing to vote for you?
To a certain extent, also because I did announce candidacy a little late because of some back end things that just needed to be sorted out.
You had some cases
there was some cases with candidacy, and we were in court for a while, and just because of what I had going on, I honestly wanted to be sure that everybody was on the same page before announcing, and then having to go back and forth and explain what was going on. So that process took a lot longer than I was hoping for. But that being said, I do believe that I have done enough to put myself out there in terms of what I'm made up of and where my head is at, and the plans that I have, the hopes and dreams that I have. So if the people buy into that idea and they think that I am fit to be their representative at the House of Assembly, I'd be more than honored to do my best to make sure nobody's let down.
I will not know the last of this one if I don't ask you. And this was from one of our audience when she heard, one of our co-anchors, when she heard that you were the guest for tomorrow, she said, please, go and ask him. Let me ask you. So she looked through your social media, because we're in the age of impressions, right? And she looked through your social media, and she felt like, for somebody that is running for this kind of delicate position where you're going to be reviewing policies, the issues around people, your social media handle doesn't tell that, okay, this is what this person stands for.
Yes.
So for instance, you go on Mr. Macaroni's page, you see that he stands for this, you go on Fowls's page, you see that. So that it would be easier,
of course,
if Mr. Macaroni or Fowls came out to say they wanted
for
like
this.
Who is Olumide? What is he passionate about?
Of course.
Who has he, what kind of impact has he left? What kind of prints has he left in the
in his local community?
The kind of impact that he's done that is giving him the credibility to say, okay, yes, he can actually handle the pressure, because that seat is hot.
Of course.
There's a lot of things that will happen in that Alausa. It's a lot of matter.
Of course.
So I mean, if you were speaking to Jennifer now, what would you say to her, right? Because again, it's social media.
Of course.
We have to see you and see you.
Of course. So the thing is, my approach to social media has been very passive. Up until this period, I never really paid attention to my social media. I didn't really care for it. I just used it to promote my work. But what I've been more concerned about is personal growth and personal development in terms of engaging with people in real time. So for people that know me personally, or in spaces where I've been opportune to meet more experienced people, I'm always asking questions, always trying to learn. Most times I sit in a room and I don't say much. I'm just taking things in, I'm absorbing things, really trying to understand how systems are made up, how does this work. Even when I'm on set, I'm asking, why is this light here? What lens is that? Why is this working? Just so I really understand how that is set up. Another thing is, I believe that we all have different roles to play in terms of development. Now, we already have people like, Fowls and Macaroni, who are my good friends, who we do discuss, things relating to politics in times when we do see, and they already have the social media fronts covered. I mean, if Fowls and Macaroni are talking about politics on their lives, people are engaging, people are commenting, and we have other people, even on Twitter as well, who are already driving conversations on social media. So we have that to unlock. So we need to do this simultaneously. So we have people on social media, we have people who are setting up NGOs, people who are really trying to help people set up small businesses. We have people who are trying to make an impact through different avenues. So we need to all be doing these things at the same time. We all can't be on social media. We all can't be in politics. So as long as the goal is understood, we can work in unison. If I make it into the house, I'm still going to have conversations with Fowls and Macaroni. If something is going sideways, they can reach me and be like, bro, when you were going in, this is what you said, this is what you said. They can hold me accountable. And that's what we do as young people. We are a lot more honest with each other, and we check each other a lot. If any of your boys are going left, you call, So we do that. So as long as we're all in agreement to what the end goal is. And we have as many people in different areas really trying to implement that goal. I think that really is what we need.
Okay, so we just want to plead that be putting small things on social
Yes,
media.
yes,
And
yes.
not just rich and get friend and we cannot see her face. Let's quickly take comments.
So this is good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying? #Ways. Race to the Lagos House of Assembly. Not too much talk. I believe wholeheartedly that Labour Party is determined to do well and will do well. I pray that my dear brother Olumide Oworu will be voted for and also win, because I can really see his zeal and determination to deliver. I pray this time there is no rigging. I'm so glad and excited to see this handsome gentleman in the studio. I happen to be his fan. I like the role he plays in the Johnson's Terry Johnson. I want to ask him that how can he cope with politics and acting? My name is Daniel Elo.
Quickly, good evening, my beautiful sisters of Ways. It's great to see your guest dressed as a Lagosian. His dedication in his Johnson's role gives me the light that he would deliver in the capacity of his political
So quickly,
ambition.
how do you want to manage? Will something suffer for it?
The priority right now is political office.
Okay.
That is the immediate thing I'm going to immerse myself in. So as we go on, if I am elected into office, we'll figure it out. But right now,
I think my
politics
husband is a fan, by the way.
I have something I want to
Yes,
What's this
please.
quickly?
Okay, so this is me having my eyes on you as a Surulere constituent.
Yes.
You do not get to move out of Surulere.
Yes.
While
so
you are in that seat.
not move to VI.
No, I will personally check that you are still in Surulere.
I love it. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
I need to be on my
Because if
toes.
I catch you in Lekki or VI, I will lock your house.
I will put it on social media.
We'll take you back to Surulere. But thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having me.
Yeah.
Thank
Now
you.
before we go, thank you, ladies. Ensure you follow us across all our social media handles at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further. Drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. Like, share, invite your families and friends to watch, and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed our very important quote, here it is again. We cannot be mere consumers of good governance. We must be participants. We must be co-creators. You have to be part of the process, okay? There are great people stepping up to the plate, so join. I will see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. It's International Women's Day tomorrow. So bring another great conversation to your screen. Have another interesting guest, so you stay with us. We'll see you tomorrow.